This is an open letter to Mr. John Stewart, Mr. Stephen Witkoff, and Mr. Mark Levin. I understand you folks are all of the Jewish faith, or maybe Mr. Mark Levin is not of Jewish faith. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, my point is this, folks, my friends of the Jewish faith, but more importantly, my Ashkenazi friends. Here's the thing, Mr. Stephen Witkoff, what basically you're saying, this is the gist of it. You're saying for Israel to feel safe in the Middle East, not only everybody has to be a friend of Israel, but everybody has to be disarmed against Israel. Anybody who is basically, everybody has to be disarmed so Israel can feel safe. Because Israel doesn't trust any of you motherfuckers. Israel doesn't trust anybody in that neighborhood. And obviously for good reason, they don't trust the neighborhood because, you know, the same way as somebody from outside your neighborhood suddenly decides, imagine a homeless guy from outside your neighborhood, Mr. Levin, in that gated community that you reside in. Imagine a homeless guy coming in and picking a corner of your cul-de-sac in your gated community and saying that, yeah, my granddaddy used to live here. Imagine a redskin, Mr. Mark Levin. Imagine a redskin just not coming to your gated community, landing in a corner and saying that because my granddaddy used to own this piece of land, therefore this is my home now. Get out. And then you're saying that this who has overtaken so in such a fashion, for him to feel safe, for Israel to feel safe, everybody has to disarm in your neighborhood. Would you disarm when somebody like comes to your neighborhood like this? Would you disarm? No, you would call the police, call the military, call whoever you want. This motherfucker, homeless guy has put all kinds of armed himself in all kinds of way, and has put up his shack in our cul-de-sac and declares the land as his. You call the police, you use your own arms, your neighbors come help, and they use their arms in order to drive the homeless guy out so you can reclaim what you considered as your cul-de-sac. Arabian Peninsula is a cul-de-sac of the Arabs. Mr. Mark Levin is called Arabian Peninsula. It's a cul-de-sac of the Arabs. They consider it as theirs. You settled a bunch of European Ashkenazi there, and not only you settle them there, you want an exclusive community of them there so they can be in the majority in that small community. Not only that, you want all the neighborhood to disarm, even up to Iran. After Iran is going to be Pakistan. Here's the thing, Mr. Mark Levin. Sir, it really doesn't take a nuclear bomb to make a place unlivable. Imagine this scenario, Mr. Mark Levin. Right now, the Iranians tell you, just now, they say, hey, we didn't say anything up to now. Just imagine. 1 second, Mr. Mark Levin. I'm trying to explain why neighbors should live peacefully together. This is what I'm trying to explain. Why neighbors should live peacefully together is because right now, imagine if the Iranians come and tell the world that, hey, we didn't tell you before, but we like to inform you that those missiles of ours that reached your place, many of them had, you know, radioactive material embedded in their cones, in their whatever active part there is. We used some fissile material, used radioactive material. dirty radioactive material was embedded in some of those missiles that reach your military bases. If they say that, Sir Mr. Mark Levin, if the Iranians just say that, I wouldn't want to live in Israel anymore. You see what I'm saying? If all they have to do is just say that, doesn't matter how much the Israelis deny it, but if they just say that, or whatever war that you're planning on coming up with, I can assume a few Iranian missiles are going to reach Israel, like before, a few. But this is not going to be a war of, as I said, this doesn't have to destroy any parts of Israel. These missiles, some of them could be dirty missiles, and they haven't gone nuclear, you know, in a manner of speaking. They're not a nuclear power, but anybody, any country with access to fissile material, that is the dirty part of this radioactive business, any country, and you can't stop banning countries from owning nuclear waste or nuclear fissile material because they have other uses and energy and other. You can't ban that. So what if tomorrow you agreed to give the Saudis peaceful nuclear energy? Okay, what if the Saudis are the ones who use some of the fissile material, leftover fissile material, they steal it, you know, gram by gram, until they have 100 gram, 1,000 gram, and they can add it to the alloys that is used as the tip of their missile, a couple of their missiles. All it takes is like 5 of such missiles. Either they say they did it and they haven't done it, or they actually do it in the next war. All it takes is a couple of dirty missiles in each city. Israel has like 5 major cities. All it takes is like 5 dirty missiles for 5 cities, and basically your cities, and everybody over there is smart. Nobody wants to live there anymore. Suddenly, you have to leave the land. Everybody wants to leave the land and go to Holland, Canada, Hungary, US. All it takes is like 1 missile reaching every city. And not its destructive nuclear power is necessary. Just its fissile material turning into a dust and spreading throughout the city with the wind. Are you fucking kidding me? Who the fuck wants to live there after that? And it's not even a nuclear war. It's unnecessary. I'm sure some of the Iranian citizens are going to happen the same thing. It's going to happen the same thing to some of the Iranian cities or Pakistani cities or Iraqi cities. But, you know, but Israel, you destroy those cities, Iraqis will move outside of the cities and start new cities because they got a big piece of land. The Iranians have got a big piece of land, so they move out of their main cities. If you do the same to them, they move out of their main cities and live on the periphery of the cities. As you know, they tested to see. Israel is small. Like 5 dirty missiles is all it takes is to basically, nobody would want to live there. Even at that point, even the Palestinians will leave. This madness probably doesn't even need to end into a global nuclear war, which may, but all it takes is a couple of dirty bombs and all the all the real estate negotiations becomes null and void. All these real estate negotiations that you are committed to in Ukraine and in Israel, all it takes is a couple of dirty bombs from any sides. From any side. It could be Saudis, it could be Iraqis, it could be Iranians, it could be the Turks. All it takes is like 5 dirty bombs, 5 dirty missiles, and you have to close down Israel and go home. And, you know, probably the Palestinians will not return either. And you got a nice place on the east side of the Mediterranean. It's gonna become like, that new Russian nuclear power plant, that Chernobyl. That is basically, nobody likes to try to live nearby. Nobody likes to test their luck, so they try to move as far away from the place as possible. I was just reading. I saw this graph somewhere of after the explosion of Chernobyl and all the dust, the radioactive dust that goes in the air. I read that in this graph was showing that wherever the wind took this radioactive clouds versus the immediate surrounding of Chernobyl for hundreds of miles, and Israel doesn't have hundreds of miles to give up. Out of hundreds of miles, there's no more Israel. The Ukrainians have to give up hundreds of miles, move away hundreds of miles, and the graph was showing that wherever this radioactive cloud went after Chernobyl, when they have seen the internet search results, they have noticed that wherever this cloud has been, there tends to be some diversion in the normal sexual fantasies of people. It was a graph about, one of these many graphs you can find about the sexual fantasies of search results that comes out of the data that come, the metadata that comes out of the reviewing the search results of, preference of sexual activity in regions, countries, cities, whatever. In this distribution was distorted based on where this nuclear cloud went after it passed over Chernobyl. Immediately during the period immediately after the explosion. This thing is, lethal. The radioactive cloud is lethal. We're talking about many generations. I mean, when was Chernobyl? And now they're studying the effects on their sexual fantasies of people. There's other effects there. The radioactive cloud didn't just affect their sexual fantasies. I'm just trying to say that how deep this shit goes, how dirty this thing is. So, literally you're going to turn, if anybody who decides to live there in Israel after that is going to be the zombie land. Because, this cloud of dirty particles are so horrible, so long after they come and go, that it will show in the sexual history, meta search data, that your great grandchildren have some kind of sexual sexual divergence from normality. Do you want that? Who wants that? I mean, this is, the tip of the iceberg. The rest of it, we know from all kinds of ailments that comes from any kind of contact with radioactive material. You want your tribe to go towards that point, that either they succeed and they subdue everybody in the neighborhood, including the Iranians, and then the Pakistanis, and then they become good friends with the Indians right at their border. Is this the plan for Israel? I mean, Mr. Mark Levin, apparently the idea is they have to destroy that mosque and build a temple. Why aren't you doing that? It's been 80 years. What are you waiting for? You have destroyed everything else in that neighborhood except the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Quds, or whatever the fuck each side calls that place. You haven't destroyed that and built your temple, but you have destroyed Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Yemen. You want to destroy the Iranians now. Why is the mosque still standing? If the objective of the Israeli immigration there and gathering there to destroying this mosque and building the temple, okay. If you ask me, you can build a temple around the mosque. You build such a big temple that the mosque fits right in it. You can, literally tell the Muslims that, yeah, you're welcome, come and meet your mosque, but your mosque looks like a toilet compared to the size of our temple. Look, you can do that, build your temple, and without destroying anybody else. But you build your great temple on top of the mosque, leave the mosque standing and making it look small in comparison. But that's a constructive way of going about it. But even if you want to destroy it, no problem. Destroy the mosque and build your temple. Why are you destroying everywhere else in the Middle East? Well, Mr. John Stewart, this comes from the insecurity that the Israelis feel. I know the neighbors are not fun, especially if you go in and take over their property and kick them out. The neighbors are not going to be fun until they get back their property or die in the process. Of course the neighbors are not going to be fun, but that would be only the Palestinians. But you have picked a fight with everyone in the neighborhood because you feel threatened by everybody in the neighborhood. Well, that's your insecurity issue. But you're asking all the neighbors that they have to walk with their pants down to their ankles. That's the only way I feel safe, that if you walk around naked around me, so I know you're not hiding a weapon. I'm going to be with clothes, I'm going to have weapons, but everybody around me has to walk around naked, so I know they're not hiding a weapon. I would say you're very insecure. You want everybody else to live in a jail. That's where you go. You treated Iraqis as criminals. You went and checked their nuclear material, blew them up, checked them and blew them up again, and eventually you invaded them. Where does that happen? In a jail, in a prison. That the prison authorities, in this case Uncle Sam's managers, feel they have the right to go into any cell at any time and basically throw the cell. I think they literally call it throwing up the cell. This basically, they empty take the guy out without notice, shock and awe. Without notice, the prison officials have the right to go in and go over everything in his cell and trash everything, and he comes back and wants to cleans it up, doesn't want to clean it up, who cares? Israel is behaving the same way, sort of like, we have the right to come in. If you don't let us come in peacefully to inspect everything, we're going to come in and throw your cell. Because apparently Israel feels they're the prison guard of Arabian Peninsula and then some. The Iranians are not part of the Arabian Peninsula, but Israelis have decided that they feel more secure if they can disarm and subdue farther down the field. You also should pull your pants down, walk around naked. You Iranians, the Pakistanis, Indians are already naked. Salute. Here's the thing, you have many solutions. It's just that you don't want to take any of them. Many sane solutions that are available for Israel. One is everybody pack and go home before this fucking place becomes radioactive. Understand that you're fighting the natives. This is not a winning fight. But when they keep saying the United States doesn't win any wars, well, when you're fighting in somebody else's land, what does winning look like? If I'm fighting on your land, what does winning look like? Should look like, Mr. John Stewart? Am I supposed to add you to my land? You know, many countries are, Puerto Rico has wanted to be a part of the United States for a long time, but they haven't been given statehood. So there are many other countries who want to be part of the United States, but the United States basically said no. We like Canada because they got a small, few people and a lot of resources, but fuck you, fuck the rest of you. So what does, if you don't want to add Vietnam to your land, then what does winning in Vietnam mean? What would have winning look like? It's like, it'd be like Filipinas. I have to say Filipinas, but apparently Filipinas is not nice in saying Filipinas is not nice in English, so we have to say Filipino. I like to say the original fucking name, Filipinas. So, being being your guy over there. Everybody has to be your guy. That is winning. When people keep saying that, but you see, our military is not so good because we haven't won any recent war. What did winning meant in Afghanistan? You still being there as part of the empire, you want to run more land. If you want to run more land, there is Puerto Rico, wants to be run by Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam says, fuck you. Afghanistan is even poorer than Puerto Rico. At least Puerto Rico is surrounded by fish. Afghanistan is not surrounded. Afghanistan is a landlocked nation. Some minerals, yes, but you're planning on digging these minerals, taking it to the United States and then refining it there. The cost of shipping, because this is a landlocked nation. What did winning in Afghanistan look like? Oh, we want our corporation in Afghanistan. And if these Afghans come down from their mountain, we blow them up. Corporations are going to be, US corporations are going to be in the valleys. Afghans are going to be on top of the mountains. And if these Afghans come to the valleys, we shoot them. Salute. What had to be won, I don't know. The military industry won in Afghanistan and Iraq. That was the winning part, because some parts of the economy was functioning excellently. Anything that is connected with, defense industry or offense industry or military industry. They won. Afghanistan was won because they won a lot of, they won. They won the bank. And Halliburton and other service companies, that provided services. Apparently soldiers are no longer see the necessity for a soldier to wash his own clothes either. Okay, just push the button. You need a scapegoat? Within a few years, I believe they don't even need anybody to push the button either, because AI is doing it. So, again, Mr. Mark Levin, you can't take all their missiles away. They will not give up all their missiles. You can't take all the radioactive material away. So, in a potential war, Mr. Witkoff, in a potential war scenario, believe me, I have a feeling the Iranians have enough fissile material that they can mix or install inside many of their missiles, and even if a few reaches Israel, all they have to say is that, yeah, it contained radioactive material, and basically you have to close the cities down, and because everybody leaves. Everybody gets on the plane and leaves, because I'm not going to take the chance of the wind blowing my way and some of this fucking nuclear dust landing in my lungs. It's common sense. You can't see that? Is everybody in Israel suicidal, or everybody is willing to... Here's the thing, Israelis are good gamblers. And, I mean, I want to say Israelis, Ashkenazis are good gamblers. Many of them. But the idea is, you really don't have to go for the bank. You really don't have to go. Many Ashkenazis lose a hand the whole game because you didn't walk away when you had so many chips, so many winnings. You just don't walk away. You want to the last dime of this game because apparently things become real personal to you real fast. It's like, I gotta get it all. I'm gonna get his last penny. You see, this is where war happens, because when you're going for the last penny, is it a necessity to go after the last penny? And this has to be only Jewish people have to live in this land, only Jewish people, and only Ashkenazis, and nobody else, because that's just beautiful. Japanese, sir, Mr. Mark Levin, Japanese have this idea that even if you feel at one point something is perfect, when you think it's perfect, put a notch on it to bring it a little imperfection. There is an old tradition, because God is against perfection. You see, when you go for the last penny, when you say no, we want it all, we want everybody's pants by their ankle, is when that's when it may turn the other way and you lose it all. Why? Why is it necessary? My Ashkenazi friends, it's just not it's unnecessary. Just as unnecessary as all these people who kill themselves thinking the world is going to end tomorrow, so I'm going to kill myself today. The rest of your religion, these cults that end up in a mass suicide because somebody their leader felt disrespected by the world, so he decided to predict the end of the world. What, every preacher every other Sunday predicts a different end day for the world. The same mumbo jumbo can be found in these Ashkenazi scripture. And and it can be easily shown that all it takes is a couple of dirty missiles in Israel and the whole business of the end of the world, and without any fire, literally missiles going off with no fire, just dust. And they say we go with the world doesn't end with a bang but a whimper. This is it. All you need is you don't need real bombs, you don't need destructive power, you need a couple of dirty bombs, and the fucking place becomes unlivable. Now go take revenge. Okay, fine, take revenge. But if your land, your home, the area that you grew up, it becomes unlivable, what's the fucking use of your life? Israelis keep saying that we have done so well developing this land. We have put track houses down from the river to the sea. We have put up track houses, and we are living like the cowboys, shooting all these Indians. We call them Arabs here. So Mr. Witkoff, I mean, you don't see a cowboy in yourself. Apparently, Mr. Netanyahu and the rest of the Israeli society see a cowboy in themselves. You know, cowboying, going hunting Indians. You can do that. You have done that. But to what end? This can't be an end to itself, my Ashkenazi friends. This cannot be an end to itself. Just like these wars that they say Uncle Sam didn't win, as if, you know, Afghanistan should have been the 51st state if we had just played our hand right. Ukraine is going to be the 51st state, Mr. John Stewart. Is Ukraine going to be the 51st state through NATO? NATO is basically the countries that the United States doesn't mind considering as its extraterrestrial state. Uncle Sam's managers don't mind looking at Europe as their extraterritorial states on the other side of the ocean. And NATO has been such a pact that now we are under the US umbrella. We are the states that are not really American states, but in a way we are American states. France and Germany and because the United States has also military bases on them. So they are in a way they are semi-American states. Although they had their own tax laws and they didn't, I guess Uncle Sam's managers keeps telling the Europeans that you have to give more of your money and buy more of our weapons because the only thing the United States has left is military industry. We don't need any other industry except military industry. With the military industry, we go hold up the other people and take their money. All I need is a gun. I don't need a manufacturing base. I don't need an industrial base. I don't need a commercial base. All I need is a gun. I go and hold people up. That's basically, you know, what happened recently in the Middle East with the Arabs was, you know, Uncle Sam going and collecting. I mean, this is what you want, right? Afghanistan had to be won like this. So, you know, so the Afghans would give you a plane too. And please don't tell me that why Trump has got a plane. Trump's gift was out in the open. The gift that was given to the Democratic heads of leadership was behind closed door, and that's the gift with the $50,000 a year special position for Hunter Biden in Burisma, I believe. That was a gift that was handed behind closed doors. The Arabs are flashy, and Trump also doesn't mind flash, so they went in over the table. Here is a $400 million plane that is yours but not yours. It's a gift to your government, but you can take it when you leave. If you leave. Hopefully you don't, but if you leave, you can take your plane with you. Anyway, my point is this, that do you think everybody has to behave like the Arabs? Arabs of Arabian Peninsula are special kind of people. Not everybody, you know, are so willing and ready. Por amore. So, not everybody is. Arabs really, there's a series of tribes, small tribes, spread around a very big piece of land that is in reality is unlivable in most parts of it. And you see what I'm saying? There is no dare there. They named the whole country after one family. How much there should be? How much sense of nationality? No, there is tribalism, but sense of nationality, no, it's not there in Jordan. It's not there in Saudi Arabia. It's not there in Kuwait. Kuwait? There is no identity there. So therefore, whatever. We have to go to bed with the British, fine. Now we have to go to bed with Uncle Sam. That's okay too. But many other countries don't really want to get. And the Europeans don't mind being in bed with you, Mr. Witkoff, is because you are them, they are you. Many of you have bloodlines back in Europe, so Europeans don't feel uncomfortable in bed with you. And you don't feel uncomfortable in bed with the Europeans. You know, the special relationship with the fucking British that you have. And that relationship is keeps getting you in this trouble. It's the British who keep landing you in this trouble. You know, Israel was a British idea. So was, Kashmir. So is, all these, little sheikdoms around the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman. These are all British ideas. Try to divide and rule, make small pieces and have these small pieces fight each other. And so Mr. Henry Kissinger so famously has said supposedly that about the Iran-Iraq war, he apparently had said at one point, unfortunately, both sides cannot lose. Which eventually this is what happened. Both sides lost. They just lost a lot of people and a lot of wealth. And apparently until Mr. Kissinger's hard-on went away. But Mr. John Stewart, you gotta admit, a lot of these geniuses which have taken the world down very dark paths happen to be Ashkenazi. Why is that? I'm sorry, a lot of them, unproportionally large numbers of them. Unproportionally large numbers of Ashkenazi, in proportion to the population, are involved. Mr. Zelensky, Ukraine has to become one of the European states of Uncle Sam. Russians were perfectly fine with European Union. It's just the Americans don't like European Union. So basically, they don't mind destroying Europe through starting with Ukraine by having Europe fight Russia again. And these fucking stupid Europeans are going to fall for it again. This is it. This is the start of World War III, and the trigger was pulled by Uncle Sam's managers. Some say through neglect, but I say it's through malice. They have lit a fire in Ukraine. Uncle Sam's managers have lit a fire in Ukraine by supporting some wacko nationalists in neighborhood to Russia, while Uncle Sam knows that the Russians are extra sensitive from that area, because the last time the wounds of the last nationalist ideas in Europe ended in World War II. So the Russians are extra sensitive, and all the Americans had to do is go in and start something, back some crazy group that they know the Russians are extra sensitive because of the history. They have been attacked multiple times from Europe. The Russians have been attacked multiple times from Europe, and it's clear that they have to be sensitive on that side. And, Uncle Sam's managers go over there and start something, and they're hoping, and now they're pulling out of Europe. Uncle Sam's managers, now they're pulling out. Sort of like we start something and then we pull out when we are hoping that you destroy each other. Just like the Iran-Iraq war, now they're going for the broke. They're going for one more time Russia-Europe war. This is the same crazy idea that Mark Levin has with regards to Israel. They're going for all of it. We want all of it. Not only we have subdued the Arabian Peninsula, which the Israelis have, now we want to subdue the Iranians who are not part of the Arabia. We are going farther back. We feel insecure. Mr. Mark Levin, it doesn't have to be a, like Mr. Trump said once, fire and fury. It doesn't have to be fire and fury. All it takes is a couple of dirty bombs with missiles that the other side can reach and touch you. They just have to touch you. In Israel, they just have to touch Israel, couple of these, and then afterwards they say, oh, those had some new fissile material mixed in the metal. We didn't mean it. Our foundry got things mixed up, so we didn't mean them to have any nuclear fissile material in them, but it just happened. It was our mistake. Or the factory got the alloys wrong. It was a misdelivery, and now you have nuclear dust of cesium this and rubium that and rubidium this and uranium that you have spread over the city, carried with the wind. Israel becomes unlivable, sir. They can actually do it, and they call it past dated. Right now they can say those missiles that did reach you had fissile material. I can assure you Israel is going to be empty within a week. If they say those missiles that reach you, they had some fissile material in them. So, they can do it now, they can do it in the future, they can say we did it in the past. So when odds are such, Mr. Levin, you shouldn't, you lose the bank when you go for broke. You think that's when you lose the most, when you think your hand is really good. This is exactly how the Israelis are feeling. Our hand is extremely good because we are the most powerful. We have nuclear missiles that actually explode. Sir, this is when there's a possibility that if you lose, you lose the whole game. You lose the whole country. Just with a whimper. With some dust. And you cannot, no way, how, or means, you cannot prohibit everybody from having any kind of nuclear fissile material, because all the countries in the Middle East, eventually they want some energy through nuclear, with nuclear material. There is some other medicinal uses for nuclear material. So even that, if they collect that and add that to their alloy of their missiles, isn't it going to be the same problem? Salute. The only way for the neighborhood to calm down, in reality, is if Israel gives up its arms. Israel say, hey, I want to live with peace and harmony with my neighbors. I'm going to only have a police force from now on. And I don't mind Arabs coming and living in our cities, no problem. They just add to the workforce. That's the only peaceful way, sir. Before turning Israeli cities into wasteland, that nobody wants to live there. Everybody leaves alive, but nobody wants to live there. After such a scenario, it's not worth it. Better leave the table with the chips you already have won. Just, give up this aspiration for an exclusively white settlements of Ashkenazi on Arabian Peninsula. On its best spot, Mediterranean coast.